everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Scene on Screen with Ned Halaby. I am really excited about the show today because I have Dane Pollack, my roommate, love of my life, inspiration, tall man, with me to discuss Paprika, the 2006 Japanese animation film directed by Satoshi Kon, which was adapted from the novel by Yasutaka Tsutsui. I think I pronounced that correctly. This is an extraordinarily brilliantly visualized film. It incorporates a lot of this surrealism of films like Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, Satoshi Kon's first film, Kokyu Godfathers, and but it takes it to, I think, an even more magical level. The story is very complicated. We're going to try and describe it as best we can. It is about a sort of not too distant future in which a new type of psychotherapy is invented called the DC Mini, that enables a doctor or therapist to enter into the dreams of his patient to help analyze them and to generally have extraordinary, strange experiences. And that technology is stolen from the laboratory that produced it by we don't know who, and basically the dream world and the real world start to become enmeshed and distinguishable from each other, and it's up to the scientists and a detective named Konakawa to decipher and figure out what's going to happen, and it's just chock full of psychotherapeutic references, Freudian analogies, and stuff like that. How did you feel about the film?
Well, Ned, I thought it was a great film. I think the use of anime is probably the only way that these themes of dreams and reality could have been explored in a visually compelling way, and one that is just, very beautiful to look at. I think it's concise. It's not that long of a film, and I think what it does contain is a lot of mystery and wonder.
It's got wonder. That's definitely something that it has. I agree that anime is one of the most effective ways of conveying a dream or a dreamlike state. And this film, it's sort of like it's sort of a mystery detective movie with music video vignettes of the dream sequences that are accompanied by some European, Germany-sounding techno music, but it's sort of to it. But I thought, it's just visually, there's very few films I've ever seen like it. It's a wild ride, literally. It's Mr. Toad's wild ride.
Yeah, you have certain recurring visual mantras like the circus, the parade, that are accompanied by, as you said, those very almost techno-esque themes, or musical themes. But I think what that almost does is kind of give the movie almost like a trance-like feel, where even within the context of the movie, that parade is totally out of place. It's totally bizarre. You have these surreal images of businessmen, because people in the real world are slowly being eaten up by this dream, and so you have people who are slowly going crazy, and you'll have businessmen majestically diving off the rooftop of a building, as they get totally engulfed by this dream. And what it's portraying is very intense, and it's very, I think it says a lot, but it's done in such a way that you almost take it without even thinking about it.
Yeah, it's such a metaphorical movie that almost every dream sequence is filled with lots of metaphors, metaphors for childhood, metaphors for sexual rape when Osanai rips off Paprika's skin or whatever. There's a lot of metaphors in the movie. It's a lot to keep up with. There's so many themes. We're going to go over a few of the themes, and I think one of the ones you want to talk about was duality in the movie.
Yes, I really believe that one of the main themes was duality, in the sense of self-duality, the two halves sometimes that we have, if not more. But you have, Paprika and Achan. Those are kind of two egos in one. You have the duality of the self and the other. So you have this very beautiful, leading lady, and then this, kind of fat, slobbish, yet very intelligent scientist who, seemingly are a mismatch, but they fall in love in the end. And, her journey of accepting that she did love this man was kind of her embracing of this, this theme of duality as well. And I think that, just the topic, which is dreams, is pretty much the other main reality of our lives. You have, awake time and sleep time. And those two realms are most of the times mutually exclusive. You have dreams, you talk about them with friends, but I mean, we're asleep for half the time in our lives. And I think it was really a way of bringing that into the fore to say that this is quite a dimension that needs to be explored.
Yeah, I think the film does challenge that mutual exclusivity of the dream world and the real world. I mean, obviously very literally by combining them. I mean, the film culminates in the total combination of the dream world and the real world, and that kind of sort of parallel or convergence, or I guess dichotomy, is one of the main themes of the movie. And one of the protagonists, Tokita, is a sort of grown-up child. He is a genius who creates the DC Mini, but his interpersonal behavior is very childlike, very immature. He's sort of like a big baby, and that's sort of like the sort of tearing apart of innocence and adulthood is, it manifests itself in the sort of dream world that they start living in.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Go for it.
You also have. You have that with Konakawa too, the police detective. He has this innocent stage in his life where he was 17, doing a movie with his friend that he was, it was a cop, cop and robber type movie, and then he finds himself as an adult in that literal position, and he, during the movie, is working on this homicide case, and his inability to solve this crime is kind of synonymous with his inability to figure out what his dream means about his own past and his own current life. And when he finally does remember his friend, who was both a source of encouragement and discouragement when he was a kid, and kind of rediscovers himself as a young man, he gets that note later by Paprika that says, "Oh, I heard you solved the case." And I don't know if you remember, but he turns around, kind of reliving the moment when he pointed the gun to shoot the perpetrator, and he says, "The case is solved." So he is, bringing in his dream world and his real life world, and the case becomes solved by uniting these dualities. And on the moment he says that, he turns around, and outside the window is this parade. So that is when the dream world had literally engulfed the real world, and I think it was a very interesting moment.
Definitely. I mean, the film goes through so many sort of climaxes and then sort of more falling ashes, but then it just keeps coming, and when you think it's over, it keeps going, because there's so many things that need to be resolved by the end of it. And I thought this film, there are a lot of films in Hollywood that deal with dream worlds and real worlds combining, or explorations of dreams, or explorations of the subconscious. I think, one of the ones that immediately jumps to mind, Waking Life, came out a few years ago, and I thought this film was so much more effective because it allowed itself to be more metaphorical rather than philosophical. I felt like Waking Life's weakness as a film was the fact that it was so talky and so just over as self-analytical, I guess. It was too much philosophy and not enough actual like coherency for me. And I thought that Paprika lets you make your own sort of theories based on the metaphors and the storyline and stuff like that. Whereas, I mean, Waking Life just didn't do it for me.
And I think that says something about the nature of a film itself that is based in fiction. The scene when Konakawa is walking with his friend from college, the little scientist, can't remember his name. Shima. He turns to the building and sees, in place of his reflection, his friend looking back at him. and he says, truth is to be found in fiction. And I think that one just speaks to dreams and, you know, that kind of analytical perspective that draws, you know, our emotions, our fears, our anxieties from these dreams, and we can reflect on those and see them as they manifest, like, in our lives.
Yeah.
But also just from the idea we were just saying from the movie, you know, this is a fictitious movie, yet truth does, you know, come out of it, and you can kind of see those dualities come together as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a large part of Konakawa's character, because he dreams in movies, you know, like his dream life is split up into the action movie, the Tarzan movie, the romantic movie, and his resolution at the end when he sort of breaks out of the dream world back in the real world, it's sort of like a very cinematic setting of the sun, holding the girl, like almost a Wild West type, riding off into the sunset. And I think that's a large part of the movie was how we do dream in films. Like a film, you know, a fictional story put on film is so much a representation of like what our dreams are, because it takes us out of reality, and so do dreams. And for me, that was the most, I don't know, personally relevant, you know, your philosophy or theory that the film was able to convey.
Yeah, when the chairman is finally eaten up by, you know, Achan reborn from the child, and after the destruction kind of starts to dissipate, Konakawa asks Shima, is the dream over? And there's no response. And I think that just kind of attests to the fact that, you know, yes, that dream, that nightmare might have been over, but are the dreams really ever over?
Yeah.
Is reality ever really what we think it is? Is dreaming ever solely something that we do at night?
Absolutely.
I don't believe so.
Absolutely. That's a great point. I think that's a great place to end. Paprika is an extraordinarily interesting film. It's available on Netflix. I know it's available in town, and it's really worth checking out. That's going to do it for us this week on Scene and Screen. Once again, this is Dane Pollack, my love, my roommate, and we'll be back next week, hopefully with Professor James Morrison. We're trying to organize something, and thanks for stopping by.